This is the Bajaj Institute. Find it from Sinvar. See it. And around the idea of agama, cholas, the Vedics in temple to have an end up, which is center. Sacred place here is the library. So you look straight down the axis, circum around this entire complex inside the see. It's a big work and classroom side. Ask me, why did you put triangle? I was crazy. I told them, because I'm crazy. That's why. Guess what? Of diagonal braces you against Earth. So they're diagonals, and I thought, not give some people something called fabric of build. Look at the ceiling. Look at the this is exposed concrete back arches. Back arches. This is the entrance hall. Up. Inside the main same time. These are air cooled. See the central core. In the jacquard, every place in the campus has jack. Some places we remove and we let light fall. Light is space. In life in colors, tempers the sun and shadows. Which are interesting. The shadows move as the sun moves. Yeah, I believe in artwork. In the so skylights side to Aton side left.
So India's top, I think, one of the top architects, did a lot of work for us and behind his technology. I think he and his team deserve a tremendous credit and congratulations to the college that I can see, obviously, something great. CCBA, Mr. Benninger, congratulations and for doing a really an outstanding job. To ground figures because ground figures do not stop the flight of my sight. And then everywhere lines, none of the lines opens. Lines tells me to stop. Everything lighting. There are no dark spots here. I think great architecture can only happen with a great client who wants great things. He should be a humanist. He should be ready to invest in great spaces and good buildings.
Line for I've reminded some of the next Mr. Azim hope all of us know started this business match. It's edible. Somehow it's last just house Zarget saved 18 she don't small scam. He's so that's what this university is all about. Very exciting to work. It's a unique see some students just moved to the hostel building. This hostel stories largest tall thinkers said I 60 challenged students just love it. Story told just to elevate it, top it all. This is a it's very in Bangalore urban development design stop development. So government got their hand. It's been great. It's the show you are about. This is called a center. Parents with children, even after here if you center so also and some of see around or part of this picture. It's a 40 still bit. Side of it's an empty circular. This is in the this waffle slab. It's a very interesting ceiling. Circular said it could structurally. It's a kind of people at the same time. It's the life. So the sacred places in it. This is of this is where stop. Of you must love Belmont. I'm showing you this is because I think as architects and as managers can create environments which are class, which are equal to better than anything. So the Belmondo is on the River Pauna. It's got 90% of the land is open, and is gardens, places to walk. Anybody would like to. True that I live in a house in Baliwadi, but I also have a really nice penthouse in Belmondo. Of my even Abhishek, he also has a house there. So we built this together. Liked it so much. Before everybody else could buy everything, we bought something big. See in the middle, big open space like Central Park. There's an urban forest. There's an urban forest along in just to walk, swim, and it's number 7 is a very. This is down in the river, looking into Central Park. This colored chosen by Sod. Everybody in Pune is this building colored. People are copying this all over. It's very funny. They don't know what they're doing. They're horizontal right in the center, but it's kind of energy. This is an urban shot. Lovely. So there are 3 clubhouses now. These are studio apartments, small apartments, 1-bedroom apartments for youngsters. Maybe people in IT, they can afford 500 square feet, sort of a studio or 1 bedroom. So it's a starter unit. They buy this, get into the market. After they get married, maybe two-bedroom apartment, so on and so forth. Clubhouse. The landscaping was, most people are not aware of a landscaping. You can have bad architecture, great landscaping changes the game totally. So as manager, if you're working on a project, always ask who's the landscape architect. Get about the architect. Get a good landscape design. Cover up the ugly buildings with landscape. It's the water that, it's a lot of, this is this. Mondo's your neighbor, just around the corner. This is a student, 68. It's a full school of 50 years. Asked me to design studio management institute. It's a lovely feeling. Come to this institute. 60. No one else left in the institute who's been with this institute as long as I have. So it's a wonderful. In the existing campus, some very by school of red roof. And is a lovely. Soon it see some of the guys diving in. concerts and jazz sessions. This architect recently he fit into the, so I used the same material palette, I suppose, same studio to give same mod. From there, I took off on my green. Actually, this used to be a brick kiln. Before Doshi built the School of Architecture, there was a kiln here, earth here. And over the years, students, so it's onto this lawn. So when you're studio, it's lovely space. See into the studio. This is the, I believe this should be. It's like to have sort of some sort of put a car like find a pillar like all over India since ancient times. This some sort of a double space, bamboo holes, so people stairs. It's a kind of fun place to walk. Past the Sept University in Jack Art ceiling, breakaway slabs inside a studio. See, the studio looks out in the garden. So when you're looking at lovely tables, ceiling, those they would pay 10, 20 lakhs each. Got them free from the architect. Left is a mod system designed by the try to make have huge scale. Right is my principles of intelligence. So all principles designed with respect. All of these 10 principles when students next hopefully won't be able to get me because they'll have to up and they'll ask, what are these principles? Somebody will say, oh, there was one day came up with 10 principles of design and urban planning of intelligent. This auditorium, I've designed many auditoria. It's my lecture hall. It's not a drama room, but it's not a place for drama. Teakwood, fun space. It's room. See what I've. It's kind of interesting passage. Leaving alley. So I like this color, this glass. Space is more. This is the coop I was talking about. This place in the whole campus. Happens is in the monsoon. Probably 4 steps up there will be water collected. Studios over Coon. Central. I think every space should have a courtyard. My house, India House, has a court studio. Judge Institute. It's a place to talk to each. Civilization is peacefully, formally. Most learning like Balaji University, it's after hours of classes, place when people are talking to, discussing ideas. So guess what? That's the cook turns into a water buddy. This is 5 o'clock in the morning. There's a music program. Some of the students decided to run, take a picture, started. There's a gathering space 10 months of the year. First job 40 years ago in Sri Lanka, where I was doing principals. '60 for no planners. So she asked me to planning course to the students in the School of Architecture. I also taught a studio. This is at IIT Hyderabad, about 50% of the campus there. This is a large lecture hall center, just of one circle. It's a 100-seater unit. It's two lecture halls, other three, 250, 150. So something like 13 lecture halls, like several thousand students study here at one. That's very important because teaching today, especially in the early of tech, that's a plan in the university plan. There's a street in the instead of an open space like a big street, covered from the top with skylights, letting light down. It's a very exciting building. I think finished in about 18 exciting buildings in India. See later some pictures. It's under construction. Look at that. That's a drone view there. See down in lecture hall of curved meeting. I might add this has been paid for by the government of Japan. Government of India paid for this building. So it was designed this. It's coming up. It's a wonderful sketching things on your desk in an office. See this kind of. This is a ceiling. Ceiling. See this is exposed concrete. Exciting. Walk behind the triangle. Get into the area. Walk behind. Left hand side is the lower level. Right hand side is the upper area. Upper down into the space on the left. So the students have a very exciting.
We are currently positioned on the west side entry of the IIT Hyderabad lecturer complex. The workers are clear the risk comments section of the entrance steps. As we observe, the plastering works have already been involved. They're standing next to big feature wall. Actually, there is another of the same kind at inside it, much like both. Finishes for these walls will be exposed properly. Now let us proceed towards the lower floor of the which is approximately just below the land. The right hand side we can note exposed concrete cover models. Colors distinctive and striking shape, providing some a 2.5 meter cantilever ramp on one side and the upper floor passage slab on the other side. On the left hand side, this staircase leads to upper floor. Here we are looking at the expansion zone, 800 seaters on it. The 800 seaters is accessible in the roof. You can observe that they have partially installed the ceiling lights switched on for testing purpose. Packages contain polyester wool, serve as the packing material for acoustical wall. Skulls and any cable trays and wire pipes fastened as they are to the things. Somewhere they're going to through shafts. Clean. We have reached the end of the corridor.
exciting part. This is the largest of four buildings, building at IIT, 1,000 workers there. Exciting it's to go on site, watch your sketches turn in.
Passes area of 76 can go on the high road, which have not been 70 is the progress slow as the contractor start to want to showcase the complete features.
This is step.
and have now seen have the outstanding personality architect architect. Now let me ask some said that every and that's exactly what first question of so obvious and everyone should ask you that tell you and in front of the and there was so many Chinese that I couldn't find Australia. So Indians are running out of the country. And here is stalwart, years, and come from America. was then known as land of honey and honey. And better than all of us tempted which as a land of
in America makes look see good luck Pat. 7 something. Geez, some shopping thing. Is a new sure discover myself, but you very nice boring driving a very nice boring car, then you can bore yourself to death until you die. Stay in India, it's huge challenge. Look at the man who started this institute. I think he Seapool failed 10 standard. Decided I want to do something about this country. Studied and taught at Symbiote. Started this institute. That's the kind. Start a school. I had a just got a master's degree. I only had about 5 or 6 people in urban. The chief town planner in road design, the highway roads. So like that, nobody was ready to start a school of for the birds, teaching an institution. So that's so I came to a called School of Faculty of Septian, best school of still in the board. Same in 60. Grandfather was born in 68. Exciting. I don't think a balance here. See, whatever everybody says, this is a country debate discussion. Everybody seems
just amazing. In fact, just heard that don't go to America. I mean, I don't think any Indian has as much passion for India as he has. That's India. And we really let me ask the next question, Ram. Ram, like he is a funny little medicine in AFMC. Can you believe it? The most glorious for medicine. And then he just drops that, and instead of the work of a human, comes to do the frame building. So, what tempted you to really get? Let us hear.
Evening. A very tough. It's kind of a the reason I is include subjects time when student student captain. That was the as I went to work, standing, standing. Some point Sunday we were only allowed to go Sundays academy. That wrong bus So I asked the conductor that this is second, and like, but I wanted to ask him hostel time is 7 p.m. or after that. Bus turn around. Said in 35 to 40 turn around. I said like, what else you have? He told me this Janglima temple. There. Okay, fine. Till the time afternoon went on his first bus, and then I just went. I strolled, sat down on a bench. There came so he stroll and smoke. He came, person on the park, and then I sat on the bench and struck a conversation with asking to where like NDA where you so it was school institute called Center. I saw that that's when the moment that I can career that's when I start a whole new along with
Wonderful. You're 30 years now
yeah.
with him.
Since then it's been 30 years following my passion and the way we kind of divide our roles after the
Next question that I saw your first design when, as a young reporter in the Indian Express, I was sent to Mahindra United World College. And that was the first time I saw like so much. For me, architecture was used, but here you were like giving. So, what is definition of architecture, and how have you like it or turned it around?
See, at a very basic level, architecture is simply technology, simply creating shelter, functions, so you can operate at that level. But I think architecture is where you start making poetry out of the site, system of buildings, where I use what I call choreography. Choreography is like film sequence. You start the film, production, the characters are introduced, and then you start moving through scenes and activity. Changes actions, you changes your persona, changes your so you learn to knowledge. The first sketches I did were of boxes, something like this campus. I put them in the context of the Indra, just in Shadri Mountains, have jagged mountains all around, and you can see all the way to Mulshi Lake from our thing. And I said, no, buildings should also look like the mountains. I need views out to the Mulshi Lake, out to the mountains. The buildings should use the mountains as what I call borrowed landscape, borrow the mountains and pull them into the landscape of the. So the other thing I decided was to use all local material like basalt stone, tile roof, like that. So sure is poetry. It's taking technology, taking it two steps forward, bringing emotions into it, feelings, changing the way people life. You know? So I think that's what it does. But unfortunately, most buildings are just the technology solving functional space requirements. There's no
And
Yeah. No, what Christopher? In fact, Mahindra United College, that was the time when the company, around that period, when I look at Mahindra, there are two things which great about architects to remember. There are two things which I'm going to tell you about architecture. We have to understand somehow in our education system teach nothing about aesthetics, nothing about art, nothing about the finer things of life. When you become richer, these are the things that you. So I always tell education should be done. When you travel, what do you go and see? Suppose there was no Taj Mahal in Agra, would you travel there? Right? So what do you go and see? See, right? So when we travel, lecture of particular, that's what creates travel. Second point is that architecture is the only thing that tells us history. If there is no architecture, we will not be able to deduct history because you could not know 5,000 years back what, but you definitely 1,000, 1,500, 5,000, what kind of dwellings people. It's much. So hence, it's very important to importance of architecture when any our society. So all of you have to start understanding the value of architecture. It's not just the way your emotions develop, the way culture develop, the way you develop an education institution, whether it is a house. Like I always tell my clients when they are talking about like housing or when they are talking about things that are meant for understanding. For you, you're selling a two. For the person who's buying, generations of people on over, how it will emote with them, how it will create their families, how it will bond them or separate, all that matters. So houses, architecture play a very great in our education in the shaped. Very important to understand the value of architecture. Hence I call architecture frozen music, the mother of all arts. It's only after architecture any other thing.
wonderful. Ask you, you mention about architect of you that is just, but you the landscape, natural landscape, conjoined or structure. What about sustain, especially at the backdrop of climate change? A lot of things are about sustainable architecture primarily. So most of your buildings, in fact, you're ahead of the times and sustainability is a part of your structures. Could you just elaborately about sustainability?
first of all, there's a huge amount of confusion about sustainability being architecture. It's not. It's just good manners. Like in your house, don't leave garbage on the floor, or you flush the toilet. To me, because people have taken sustainability, have architectural conferences around sustainability, be like having architectural conferences around the structural design. It's one of the elements, should be in every building. It's good manners. There are many, many things we can do. Like we can cut down on the energy for air conditioning and use air-cooled rooms. Done that at Suzlon One Earth. We can use non-toxic materials. We can use wood from certified forests where the wood has been grown to be cut in buildings. We can try to reduce the dependency on automobiles by having special parking places for people come in carpools and things like that. So to me, I get a little annoyed when I hear that there are conferences about architecture. It would be like we're going to have on poetry. In poetry, now in the they call it study in the poetry group, sustainability. It's kind of nonsense now. Everything can be sustainable. Sustainable. The people who talk the most about sustainability in the world are the people who are creating the most pollution. The Americans, number one. The Europeans, number two. They're telling India, which consumes probably not even 10% the energy per capita of America, they're telling them stop growing, stop starting into sustainable. Probably Africa only uses 10% per capita as India. All of the UN agencies are running around Africa talking about sustainability. So I actually, in sustainability, designed the sustainable building, not just in India, but it's got the United States LEED platinum stamp on it. It's the highest stamp sustainability. I think it's street sustainable, but it's not architecture. Just one should make a building stand up and not fall. Mixing things up. Architecture is just something that must be done. It's like a flush. It's no. Fortunately, there are a lot of people who study architecture. They can worked in a social studio, consultants on sustainability. Sorry, but I have.
I think I asked the question wrongly. I didn't mean that sense. What I meant was architect. I mean, you have to agree. If I'm staying apartment, I feel hot. But if the building was of air, that's what I meant. That architecture has that.
It's true. See, sustainable, wider definition, simply well-being of people, comfort of fresh air, sunlight, things like that. So I think good architecture does have has views with into future. One thing we try to do in all our businesses is to separate vehicles out of the campuses totally. Go to your college or say your Bajaj colleges, you cannot drive cars into the campus. So, so trying to stop that. Go to Pune University, you can drive every place all around. It's like a racetrack. Yeah. So we're trying to keep automobiles out. We're public spaces inside. Trying to integrate nature, the buildings. You should look out a window and see nature. So it's an important point, but I only want to flag that too many times there are conferences about architecture, and none of the people at the conferences ever built a building. I find that a bit annoying.
What you showed in your like very high file institute or resident, but the fact is has done some great architecture for country like Burundi, Africa, as well as in the upcoming democracy of Nepal. It's so humbling that a like you also go to such countries environment or landscape? Talk a bit about both.
See, I was involved in Bhutan. 1979, when I went there, it was one of the poorest 10 countries in the world, maybe the poorest. Now, the only electricity is in the capital, 6 o'clock till 8 o'clock. So, number one, for the people working with the great challenge. Number two, for the greater possibility of change. Today, the per capita income is the highest in all of the SARC regions. So from the poorest became the richest. So it was a great challenge to work there, not just as an architect, but as a planner. One of the things we did, we were sitting around the bukhara. It's a metal stove, and you wigs in it, and we were. That was the planning commission. How can we radically change Bhutan? He said the only thing we had that other countries don't have is mountains, have rivers and water. What if we start generating? This is way back in the 70s. Somehow got the to Chuka, a plan. He said, let's start hydro, sell it to Bangladesh. Bhutan became rich selling electricity. Burundi can become rich selling a lot of agriculture. And right now they're growing a lot of copper, zinc. Burundi is frankly way ahead where Bhutan was. Burundi has electricity, has automobiles, has television, has so many things that Bhutan could never dream back then. The people are wonderful. Tom and I recently were president of the Senate. It's very exciting. I know there will be change. Building this, this is the having a connection, see where participate reduces violence. So capital Burundi, that matter we 6 potential Sri Lanka. Still been a lot of violence there. It's a struggle. So I think exciting thing in these countries is the struggle, part of visible development. See change in front of your eyes. In America, you work, everything's been done. You don't see anything change. So excitement, on adventure, go to Burundi, Central Africa.
Wonderful.
So, for doing done the challenges, how do you hire heritage lends them challenge second kind of parliament giving an identity
Wonderful. Lovely answer. So I want to ask Kristen that, and Ram also, better answers the audience will decide not. I want to ask Ram for that medicine studied in a medical college, but here, like you were with the walk encyclopedia of Pakistan. How did you learn from? And to Christopher, that how did you accept and actually such an
See, this country, and I've had studies who know. So it's exciting to start from something.
So, so learning can happen at the book. Learn nothing but have disciples. Thus are taught the person decide the way that have learned, start having.
Seriously, said from it's one of the question. Sometimes after me suggest rap question that way. That I think is maybe it's the mind of a young person. That's really young person, senior visited around the world so many discussing those instead of being instead of saying wow, started asking questions. Cylinder, see the dog. This kind of asking each is ready to ask questions.
remarkable quality. Ram, a couple of questions have the student. Ram actually have well at all. And when I told what is for and kind of some medicine, and there I saw that he so meticulously organized and so how come are also art collector and love to collect art because sometimes left brain and right brain like they talk having both brains active. Yeah.
I think art was there since the time I was new. I used to be extremely like not something that tell also that when I started the time, I have this father. Father is scripted, fascinating. I use That's how the story of when the story of Banaras should come to office. And I was in Banaras. I was with. I thought about like how do I make as a game every other. And I remember the story father told 16 samskaras. There are nothing 16 chapter life under the Hindu starts from the time that you're born till the time. No- so these 16 chapters kind of take the narration and then you sketch out of it, craft it. That's a chapter. I did that many. Even to create those 3,000 you any great after 5 or 6 out copy paste. Actually, I my old city photographs of 100 take photo, drop out just to get idea of would actually some real painting is like you have been a calendar hours. Also, each story painting must all that is what it is timeless. Look at our temples. Temple walls or columns or ceilings are stories. They are mythical stories. Stories. Those were done in the kind of immortalized habits. That is what I have learned. Temples.
Last question that Ram has forward, and are you like, was a long, long, long life to you and your wonderful talent? How do you see your vision 20 to 5 years? Such a lovely thing.
See this to singer. So is it in sure I was 50 years mainly recently got recently started Forbes factories. Some of them designing factory places to work is a new are asking us to come and design build scene build. Times are it's high time studio.
I think to kind of carry forward the argument that does legacy, especially when it comes to no single talent applies to find sons doing Satyajit, daughters. When it especially comes to like such, there will be dilution or an exaggeration. Knowing this very well that I can never fit the shit, I have understood the growth. The next 20, it's going to grow much faster than will be very much part of that. So fast. When there is a fast growth, those clients are looking for functionality, durability, and speed. They're not looking for timeless. That doesn't kind of us having the legacy of building timeless. Why we will be building timeless building without or with knowing that like these are some of the things that we just like in the Western world. You look, how do they create like Michelin 5-star restaurants, or how does like and like Apple always produce, even when the founders are a certain stuck principles are kind of hone this habit of, that's where I will make those habits. How do you create lasting? They will satisfy.
Very enlightening and insightful. I need a big clap.
Any questions? Questions? May I request you, when you ask a question, tell your name, what class are you, because we are equally as interested or who you are as you are equally interested.
Hello, sir. My name is Sagar Dap. I am a Operation and Supply Chain Management.
Slowly, slowly. What's your name?
Sagar Dap. According to you, what exactly is modern marvels in architecture? Whenever we architect, have the how an architect necessary for in architecture.
See, trouble is, sure is not stunt after buildings stunts. At a 7-second one, is a toilet. Somebody else, Shanghai, like that. So, see, that's not architecture solving problem. Particularly solve any problem at all. Just the get my point. Lipstick art, average look good. So, so, so all of these countries in India, we're trying to solve problems, not create. It's like the
I know he's, by now you have understood IT, but why as a place, as an identity, has been struggling for this identity. And when you're like craving for such kind of identity, building such kind of stick art, because it does like attract a lot of people. environment interaction. Like the desert actually lack of it was not.
I'm from Operation Supply Chain batch, and my question, architect, pretty related to creative thing and or creative ideas. Person very passionate something else, creative thing, method or tech, develop it, start from scratch. At that you start to have creative things very small age, or at like say in 30s or what to do, want to that I want to be architect or I am very passionate about science, or the thinking.
All of you sitting there, trouble is system. Everybody stupid. Sometimes people, I think it's say it. Now that I this is stupid. Start be- see it's memory. Six. First of all, decide that. Second of
think don't have to you have to give create. There are started studying art. There are great architects. Johnson studied at the modern. There is no need to get that just by the sheer they're human. They're having a brain. As an animal, much than the rest of them. That's what tell everything. Of course, we also belong to a society dictum, belong to an separates saying that okay, those who can draw flowers are those who can design embroidery are not confuse decoration. There were not creative people, they couldn't have done brain. They were not if there were not creative people, couldn't have done like automobile. There were not they couldn't have done some code. Creativity is not drawing flowers, petals, out of that. Find creativity. No, there is a certain way of doing it efficient, faster, and aesthetically. Am I making sense? You all agree with me? So it could be anything. So all of you are creative, just that you have been pushed to think that you're not. Be creative in everything that you do and question yourself. How's your dining table arranged? Ask the question. That's when you start thinking it's not. Think about a food which is whether you can be a little bit more. So the same way, if your professors are designing curriculum, can be creative. Exams can be creative. Stop being creative. Start thinking the job. That's when you start actually stop growing. You want to enjoy everything that you do. Start becoming anything.
Hello, sir. My name is Anant Parashar. I am from BIM HRD, Digital Marketing and Business Analytics batch. Sir, my question is to you that in your presentation, most of the design of infrastructure made up of triangles. Why is it?
Except the windows. It's good that students as a memory fail. How do you create something that else in the world? So you pick up a very getting people silly. I call them so identity. Something is true. Kind of thought. Other part of say is crazy. Streak of madness.
Uh,
Light, temple, so that it's uh, healthier for everyone around us. So, but according to my experience, what I feel that a lot of understand that when you go for sustainable architecture means that you are reducing environmental and social costs, but that means you are increasing your economy. But I really feel that something that is ethically right. Think uh, there is future in that sense.
It's an interesting question. Tell me, does it make sense more? You don't want to sustainable to say one of the first buildings we was the head Shinra was in it said, listen, maybe you are over see out, but the sun cannot walls sliding and when so listen, saved so much saving the whole building. Started off and said, adding the forest, said, get lost. Sat down, said, okay, Savior. Said, wow, fantastic. So I think to do sustainable medical staff days as far so we'll go way down. Sustainable things up buildings. About that. It's a,
Thank you,
okay.
sir.
Just last question. Urban fabric of
Take yes. Side of show people what's possible. Then
The question that Ali looking for telling something else. Not many people helping the government, all the benefits from the government. Yes, which include me also. I will criticize, but I'm not ready to participatory in actions. And we must also understand government is shrunk. Populations have grown. Government office which have been running like 3 million people, like nine. If you look, the resources are the same, but the areas are. I think this is where I think studied should participate and help anything that you government will welcome. Problem is that we don't participate, expect like people who are working jobs over there solve our problem. As mature, educated citizen age or of a state or a government, it is our innate nature that should be actions of help them do them better. First thing, we in India are 20 years infrastructure regards to the growth parameter. The city is building now. Yesterday they opened up, I think, Chandni Chowk flyover. That should have been built 20 years back, but it's been built now. The minute it is built, it is being used. I think within 2 months it will be overcrowded because it has already lived its capacity. So we are building at the end of the capacity, not at the beginning. To really look at like the city like Pune, we should have had all 5 to 6 of metro stations, 100 kilometers length. All this comes to the fact that blame ourselves. All of us want to be educated. We come to this climate, great education institution, but we want to take plush jobs. We want to go abroad. We want so everything what we are doing is only for our. We're not doing it for our city. We're asking what's the pay package. It doesn't work like that. Your education has to at 20% support nation's growth. When that kind of formula exists, then it will. Americans did that. Say we are going to America to settle because somebody else has worked. When Americans of Christopher, they made it as a commitment that this is my national duty. How many of us have a national duty? None, right? So I think all of you have to work with government, be it free, be it at any level, but do it as a national duty. And then you see how it will transform as a
Changing cities is not X and urban. Changing cities is the job of managers. Changing cities is the job of Let me give an example. Singapore said our city's getting congested, it's getting polluted. 30 years, they said, listen, let's do a study, all the roads in the city, and how many cars can we have before the roads are saturated and congested? They said 10,000 cars. Now, so they said, okay, every year have an auction, 1,000 cars. Like auction, right? To have you buy a car, you can only keep that car for 2 years and then it's off the road. They raised a huge amount of money in this auction. And then when you buy a car, buy a Wagonar, a lot of money is a tax. But if you buy a Camry, pay 10 times as much. So they took this money, put it in a metro system, put it in buses. This is a management solution. This is not architects doing drawings, urban planners doing plans. They're managers who say, listen, how do we get these cars? How do we get this money system? Because there are enough idiots like me buy a Camry, Mercedes, I should be taking a bus. So you can force people to take buses, just price me out of the market. That's a management way of handling. Like we could say, want to go into the city of, could buy a decal to put on the window of your car. Want to go into the city, pay 5,000 rupees a year for the right to enter the city with that decal. Want to park, taking up space. What is the value of that space, and what would the rent be per hour? The office there, rent the shop front, a lot of money charged for a parking. Again. So there are a lot of management solutions for managers. Think creatively. Simply want to get cars off the road and make people take public transit. You know, today, uh, private parties are now running electric air conditioned buses. This is a new thing. One of our clients, we've done a bus terminus in Bhubaneswar. He has 600 buses in Pune, privately air conditioned electric buses. This is a new thing. How do we as managers make the system work. How do we discourage people? Well, their friends like mine, Anand Mahinder, says, wait a minute, I want to build automobiles. So we have people who are going to also be managers who are going to say, no, let's crowd the cities more, let's pollute them. But I'll tell you, the beauty is that when you start getting so congested that you can no longer move, then you become Singapore. Stop moving in your cars, then you start thinking.
Thank you so much, sir, for your insightful views and ma'am for your wonderful moderation. I would now like to call upon stage Honorable Vice Chancellor Dr. G.K. Shirure, sir, to present a token of gratitude to Christopher Benninger, sir.
Thank you so much for Goddess Saraswati. So not having still looking at the by being see students present themselves. Students, all of those guys like rag pickers. So meet people. How you look, very important. It's lovely to see all of you like professionals.
Your observation, sir, your observation is absolute micro one and giving a two station. Thank you so much.
May I request Shirure, sir, once again to kindly felicitate Mr. Ram Prasad Naidu, sir. Now, as we come to an end of today's mind provoking event, where we all heard the genius that Benninger sir is, I would now like to propose the vote of thanks on behalf of Sri Balaji University, Pune. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to Christopher Sir and Ram Prasad Naidu Sir for embracing our university with their presence today. I would also like to thank our Honorable B. Paramanandan Sir, Chancellor Sri Balaji University Pune, Dr. G.K. Shirure Sir, Vice Chancellor Sri Balaji University Pune, respected deans, directors, deputy directors, our faculty members, the organizing committee, and last but not the least, all the student managers present here today for their time and presence. At the end, I would like to quote from Christopher Sir's book, Letters to a Young Architect. We must understand that our talents and our wealth are only loaned to us in trusteeship to use towards the greater good. So let us all end this evening with the positive thought of always moving towards the greater good. With this, once again, thank you everyone. Take care and have a good night ahead.
So let me wish all of you happy Independence Day for tomorrow. And now we are going to say Jai Hind. One more time. Jai Hind. More time, much louder. Jai Hind. I'm going to tell you a story. I have a I hope next time I come here, I'll be carrying an Indian passport, not an American.
Can you please stand up? We'll click a photograph.